The infrastructure bill is here, and it got 17 Republicans back on board. So we'll talk just a bit about what's going on with that, what this means, what the next step is, and what could happen here with the big spending and reconciliation bill. It's going to be a great conversation, and that might still be up in the air. So we will see what is going on with that. In other news, excuse me, Elizabeth Warren is back in the news once again because she has got a lot to say, including about getting a digital currency in where she can help the unbanked. So we will go over that. Mask mandate is back in the House, and McCarthy and Pelosi are battling over it once again. And Joe Biden claims that he once drove an 18-wheeler, and guess what? Republicans pounce. It's going to be all this and more over on Contemporary. Hey, do you trust the plan yet? I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Contemporary. My name is Jay Edgar, and yeah, we're late today, so that is on me. I woke up. When I woke up today, the 7 o'clock alarm was going off, not the 6 o'clock in its fourth iteration, because I usually, like, the 5 and the 6 go off. The 5 actually rouses me out of the deep sleep, and the 6, it's typically I'll hit the snooze 6:10, 6:20. By 6:30, I'm actually rolling out of bed. But, once it's actually 7 and it's rolling me out, and I still, I had all the tabs set up. It was just a matter of turning around and getting everything organized once again and grabbing a couple things that I caught from overnight here, which I'm actually kind of glad that I did. And I'm a little bit glad that I'm a little bit late, too, because one of the tabs that we have here was posted a minute before I saw it, which meant we would have already been live when Brady had posted it. So, yeah, that was a good catch there. So I'm glad we got that one. But yeah, what happened was there was a series of tornadoes that ran through southern Wisconsin last night. So I got to bed probably about 11:15, and I just passed right out as soon as that happened. But 1:15, I turn around, roll over. I don't know if the siren went off at 1:15. And that woke me up, or the ending of the siren, or if it was just a crack of thunder. But I was roused from a dead sleep at 1:15. And then probably about 30 minutes later, either the first or the second siren went off. And at that point, you're wondering what the hell's going on and everything else. You got thunder cracking and everything. I didn't get back to sleep until 3. And then, 7 rolled around. And, well, here we are. So that's why we're late, but we've got to get into it anyway because the news stops for nobody here. We haven't missed a weekday of Contemporary yet, and this was a day that we definitely want to talk about here, especially with all the stuff that's going on with the reconciliation, with the budget, and with the new infrastructure bill that's coming. But before we get into any of that, head on over and check out my friends who will be joining me in a brand new project that's coming up here we're looking at possibly a fall release for this, so go ahead and check that out. And I am talking about my friends over at The Generational Gap, which may or may not be going through a couple different things right now, but still go watch them for updates. And we'll have updates on this channel too, if they change it, if they dissolve it, or what happens with that. So definitely go and check that out. Also go and check out The Daily Ignoramus, The Breakdown with Birkenhoff, The R-Rated Conservative, and The Freckles and Brit Show. All of them are coming back to the new project that we have that we're working on here. So go and check all of them out. It's going to be a great time. And yeah, like I say, there's going to be some interesting things coming on the Generational Gap side. So make sure you go and follow them and check them out as well. And, well, help me support great creators. Looking in at your finance for the morning. Let's get the live chat up here so I can see what you guys are doing. All right, reading first from the Dow Jones. The Dow Jones is at 34,930.93, and that was a drop, but of course, because it was after 7:30 once we got here, we don't see what the drop was, but we can see that at the previous close, 35,058.52, there was a drop throughout the day yesterday. It looks like it just kind of went crashing through the rest of it. It started off up, yeah, and we talked about the futures being up, but the roller coaster that went through there. that was going to be some interesting times. And I do think that part of this is the fact that we got to the infrastructure, and we know that inflation is coming, but we also hear that the Fed isn't going to change anything, and inflation can still run rampant. So we'll talk and see what the investors have to say about that. Looking in at your Bitcoin had a slight drop from yesterday morning, 39,663 US dollars and 60 US cents. So we'll see if IBD has anything to say about that one. And your gas, we've got 279 most of the way across the Madison area, but we've also got one station rather. Must just update it, because when I looked at this before, there were 2 stations. But one station is also at 287, so watch your gas prices and pick and choose so you don't have to pay the most for gas. All right, let's see what IBD has to say here. From Investors Business Daily, Dow Jones Futures Market Rally takes big news in stride. Facebook, PayPal, 4 key earnings movers. From Ed Carson. Yes, that was Brady Leonard, by the way, that I was talking about quest fanning, because he's got an Elizabeth Warren video that I thought bared watching. So we are going to go and watch that in just a second. Actually, I think that's all the way down here. No, it's this one right here. Yeah. So it'll be a little ways into this, but yeah, we will go ahead and watch that one. Excuse me. Maybe I do have the coof, because I got a tickle in my throat, that's for sure. Dow futures and S&P 500 futures rose slightly Thursday morning, while NASDAQ futures edged lower amid a weakness, and an advertisement comes up to tell us about a webinar that's coming up. Dow futures and S&P 500 futures rose slightly Thursday morning, while NASDAQ futures edged lower. In Facebook stock and PayPal, the stock market rally closed mixed on Wednesday, taking big tech earnings in stride and improving mostly on Fed meeting announcement and Fed Chief Jerome Powell's still dovish comments. Facebook, PayPal, Ford, Qualcomm, Align Technology, and ServiceNow headline earnings reports late Wednesday. The Robinhood priced its IPO at $38 a share, at the low end of expectations, but raising roughly $2 billion. The Robinhood IPO values the no-fee trading app at $32 billion. It's set to debut Thursday as HOOD stock. So, hey, if you want to go capitalize on what some of these guys over on Reddit are doing, you can now buy into Robinhood. I actually might. The stock market rally was mixed Wednesday, but the Nasdaq rose following strong earnings from Apple, Microsoft, and Google parent Alphabet. Apple stock fell modestly, and Microsoft was little changed, but Google stock popped and hit a record high, also lifting Facebook stock. AMD broke out on earnings. Fellow chipmaker Monolithic Power Systems, which technically closed Tuesday pennies above the buy point, decisively broke out on earnings as well. Wednesday, steelmaker Cleveland-Cliffs cleared an early entry a few days after its strong quarterly results. ArcelorMittal also crossed a buy point Wednesday, but that was heading into earnings early Thursday. Mittal earnings beat views, with the global steel giant also boosting a buyback. MT stock rose modestly before the open, but is still in the buy range. The Fed meeting announcement at 2 p.m. Eastern Time said the policymakers see progress, but didn't signal substantial progress that would indicate they have begun discussing tapering asset purchases. Fed Chief Jerome Powell, in his news conference 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, said the economy still has a ways to go. He also said the U.S. has ground to cover before the Fed adjusts easy money policies. He did say inflation will likely remain elevated for several months, but should moderate. The Fed meeting and Powell's comments didn't surprise markets, especially given the recent rise in COVID cases and related restrictions. Powell could signal taper talk late next month at his Jackson Hole speech, or the trigger could come at the September Fed meeting. An actual reduction in bond buys wouldn't likely start until late 2021 or early 2022. Generac, AMD, and Cleveland-Cliffs were highlighted in the Stock Market Today video embedded in this story. PayPal stock, Generac, and ServiceNow are on the IBD leaderboard and long-term leaders. AMD stock is on Swing Trader, CLF stock, Generac, and Facebook are on the IBD 50. On the futures, Dow futures climbed 0.4% versus fair value. S&P 500 futures rose 0.2%. NASDAQ 100 futures fell about 0.1%. Facebook stock and PayPal are weighing on tech futures. China's securities regulator told brokerages that Chinese companies can still list in the U.S. as Beijing continues to try to bolster stock prices after a slew of regulatory moves across many industries hammered Chinese stocks. U.S. listed Chinese stocks were indicated higher after rebounding on Wednesday. Remember, overnight action in Dow futures and elsewhere doesn't necessarily translate into actual trading in the next regular stock market session. Now, I'm actually kind of curious as to what we're going to see in the next couple days, because today is 7/29, the 29th of July. And barring something major, which it seems like is almost impossible at this point, but barring something major, in 2 days, your eviction moratoriums expire. And I believe with that, your foreclosure moratoriums also expire at that point, which is going to put a lot of people, maybe not as many as the news media wants you to think, maybe not as many as a lot of right-wing media wants you to think, but it's still going to put a lot of people in a very, very interesting position. And some of them are going to be starting to sell some of their assets to try to make up some of the losses that they could be facing otherwise. So, could we see a great big sell-off coming off on the 1st? Or, I believe the 1st is on a Saturday, is it not? Yes. Yeah, the 1st is on a Sunday. So, I mean, we could see some very, very big asset sell-offs on the 2nd. And, yeah, that could do very interesting things for the market. I'm kind of curious to see where this goes, because that's going to shape whether or not the U.S. believes that they can do it again sometime in the near future, or even the far future at that point. Because if this tanks the markets, where all their big business buddies have all their money, then they're not going to be able to do it again. They're just not going to, it's not going to happen. But even now, the Supreme Court has said that the executive branch or the CDC don't have the authority to do so. And if they do need to do something like that ever again in the future, it does have to come through Congress. We're seeing a lot of that coming out of the Supreme Court, where they're coming out and saying, yes, okay, we'll let this happen this time, but the next time you have to do it out of the Supreme Court, or I'm sorry, out of Congress. You have to make a law if you want to make this happen, not necessarily rely on regulatory agencies to do that. And I like that, because that's taking some of the power away from the executive branch. It's taking some of the king power away from places where Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and even Barack Obama all put kingly type powers. So I'm glad to see some of that, but I really am interested to see where this whole thing with the rent and eviction moratorium go. So we will see what's happening there. Let's grab one quick from Yahoo Finance and get into the big news of the day. Stock market news live update. Stock futures mixed after earnings. Fed decision from Emily McCormick. Stock futures were mixed Thursday morning amid a mixed batch of corporate earnings results and a Federal Reserve decision that signaled the central bank was still looking for U.S. economy to recover further, but oh, excuse me. Wow, maybe I do have the commie coof. Before adjusting its monetary policies, contracts on the S&P 500 gained. The index ended Wednesday's regular session in the red, but hovered just 0.5% below its recent all-time closing high. Contracts on the Dow rose, while those on the Nasdaq dipped. Shares of Facebook slid in late trading after the company said it saw a sales deceleration in the second half of the year and suggested an Apple iOS app tracking update would negatively impact its core advertising business. The comments overshadowed what was otherwise an estimates-topping second quarter report, the revenue growing far more than expected as the broader internet advertising industry recovered further. Peer tech company PayPal also saw shares drop after delivering a current quarter forecast that missed consensus estimates. Investors continued to digest a Federal Reserve decision that signaled the central bank was moving closer to, but not yet quite at the point of announcing and beginning a rollback of its crisis-era policies. Specifically, the Federal Open Market Committee's latest statement said that the economy had made progress toward the central bank's goals of achieving substantial further progress in the recovery, but that the committee will continue to assess progress in coming meetings. So, a lot of stuff mixed right now, a lot of stuff going here, and I think that at this point, the markets and the people who trade in the markets are just going to sit back and buckle down and see where all this goes. And I'm interested to see where it all lands when the dust settles. Because that was one of the biggest problems that we had facing the market coming in, was the fact that nobody could get evicted. So people kind of had to sit and wait to see where their mortgages are, especially with smaller landlords, where their eviction process is, who's going to be moving in, who's going to be taking their adult age children back in at home. There's a lot of factors that go with this, and you're interested to see it. But I'm also coming at this, and I talked with my friend Sewell about this yesterday. I'm interested to see where this goes, just based on the fact that I'm coming at this from a small town mentality. I'm sitting here. Yes, it's an 8-family home, but I don't think anybody in this building has missed a payment yet this month. I don't think anybody has. Just kind of based on one of the things that my landlord said to me when he lost my check, and he thought I hadn't paid for the month, asking me to get the check in right away. And then he found it later on after I called him on the fact that I had paid it already. He's like, oh, no, it slipped out of my mind. But regardless, the fact that he was, so ready to get this means, and so willing to come out and say, hey, you missed this here, tells me that nobody in this building has missed a payment. And I don't think a lot of people around my small town have either. Now, maybe once we get down into the city or up in Madison and we see a few more of that. But, yes, I'm coming to this from a small town mentality. So we will see what happens with that and how many people have actually missed. I'm sure that a lot of these numbers are going to post. And that's going to be one of the top stories that we see coming in on Monday. But we got to watch for that and wait for it to happen. All right, let's grab one. Starting with the big news of the day. And we're going to start today from NPR. Senate advances bipartisan infrastructure deal. This is from Deirdre Walsh. And remember, donate, 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 because NPR needs your money. It's not your money, comrade. It's our money. And they need our money to go and spread communistic ideals across the country. It is National Progressive Radio, after all. And we need to have progressive thoughts injected into everybody out here. So make sure that you donate. Taxpayer money isn't enough, people. Donate, donate, donate. That's why they have those advertisements plastered everywhere. National Progressive Radio. It's not your money, comrade. It's our money. Hours after bipartisan Senate negotiators reached a deal on infrastructure package, the chamber voted to advance it, setting in motion a final vote on the bill in the coming days. The procedural motion was approved 67-32, with 17 Republicans joining all Democrats to begin legislative action. The top Senate GOP leader, Kentucky's Mitch McConnell, was among those voting to move ahead with the proposal, which is surprising, actually, with McConnell coming out and saying, oh, yes, let's all go vote on getting it down for debate and we'll get it to the floor, because he has been so adamantly against it for so long. And we'll talk a bit about what's in there, too. I've got a Hill article that talks about I've got a CNBC article that talks about what's in this. So we will go and we'll talk a bit about what this means going forward off of that. Earlier on Wednesday, GOP Senator Rob Portman of Ohio told reporters the group reached an agreement on the major issues and was still working on legislative text. We are prepared to move forward, Portman said, after the Republicans working on the deal met with McConnell. Senator Kyrsten Sinema of Arizona, who was leading talks for the 10 Democrats at the negotiating table, told reporters on Capitol Hill that we're very excited to have a deal, and she said that she had spoken with President Biden about it. Biden later told reporters that I'm feeling confident about the bill, man. In an address Wednesday afternoon at a truck plant in Pennsylvania, Biden added that he was working with Democrats and Republicans on the deal because, while there's a lot we don't agree on, I believe that we should be able to work together on the few things that we do agree on, man. Come on, man. The forward movement on the bill comes a week after a failed test vote on the deal, with Republicans saying Senate Majority Leader Charles U. Schumer was moving too quickly. The bill is expected to be around $1.2 trillion over 8 years, with roughly $550 billion in new spending. But the details on key components were still being worked out. Some of the procedural steps still lie ahead before the final passage. Republican Senator Susan Collins of Maine, one of the 10 GOP lawmakers in the talks, said there are $65 billion for broadband deployment in the bill. She acknowledged it has not been easy to get a deal, but we have reached agreement on the major issues. And we will talk a bit about what's all in there in another article here. Portman said the bill is paid for, including using funds from combating fraud in unemployment assistance programs. Bullshit. The White House said it will be able to offset in part by targeted corporate user fees, as well as economic growth that's expected from the investment. The group is awaiting a final price tag from the Congressional Budget Office. John Tester of Montana, one of the Democrats involved in the talks, told reporters that the final text has not yet fully been circulated, but he expects the final agreement will be completed on Wednesday. Joe Manchin says he expects the first vote will be on a placeholder legislation that will later be amended to include the full text of the agreement. That process is not uncommon. It allows the Senate to move ahead while staff drafts the legal legislative language necessary for a bill to come for a vote. So, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on here. Just from this little bit in NPR, there's quite a bit in this bill, so we'll talk all about what's going on with that in just a second. But yes, it's coming. It's down to the floor for debate, and that means that there's a good chance that we could get the 60 people on board to see it. From the Hill, allow ads to support our journalism. No. Biden hails infrastructure deal. A sign, democracy can function, man. This is from Morgan Chalfant. President Biden on Wednesday hailed a bipartisan infrastructure deal as a signal that our democracy can function, deliver, and do big things, man, come on, while acknowledging there remains plenty of work to get the bill passed. Of course, man, neither side got everything they wanted in this deal, but that's what it means to compromise and forge consensus. The heart of democracy. As the deal goes to the entire Senate, there's still plenty of work ahead to bring this home. And come on, man, there'll be disagreements to resolve it and more compromise to forge along the way, Biden said in a statement after the deal was announced by senators on Wednesday afternoon. But the bottom line is man, the bipartisan infrastructure deal is blue-collar blueprint to rebuild America that'll help it. Jill, come over here. They'll help make our historic economic recovery a historic long-term boom, he said. The agreement represents a significant victory for Biden, who campaigned on his ability to work across the aisle and unify the country. White House officials and senators have pored over the details of the agreement in the past month, but after Biden and the bipartisan group agreed to the infrastructure framework at the end of June following a meeting at the White House. The bill's fate in Congress still remains unclear despite the bipartisan support and the backing of business leaders and economists. Yeah, that makes me feel better about it, which Biden noted in his statement. Senators will first need to vote to move forward on debating the bill, text of which has not yet been released. That vote will need to overcome the 60-vote threshold needed to defeat the filibuster. Last week, a similar vote failed because GOP senators refused to move forward with the debate before the negotiations were complete. The Senate is voting Wednesday evening on starting debate on the bill, which, yes, they are. They are starting debate on this, so we will see where it goes from that. The text has yet to be released, but we have an idea of what's going to be in this here. Let's read from CNBC. Here is what is in the $550 billion bipartisan infrastructure deal. From Kevin Breininger and Emma Newberger. After weeks of haggling behind closed doors, a bipartisan group of senators on Wednesday finally reached an agreement on the key details of a sweeping infrastructure bill that would include $550 billion in new spending. The legislation would pour federal money into physical infrastructure, projects such as roads, bridges, passenger rails, drinking water, and wastewater systems, as well as expanding high-speed internet, climate-related infrastructure. The White House says the investments will add an average $2 million jobs per year as part of President Biden's agenda. Yeah, I doubt that. Significant details are unknown about the bill, which has yet to be released in full, especially regarding its offsets. Here's what we know so far, according to a fact sheet from the White House. Nice. I see you over there, Quest. I see you. Roads and bridges. $110 billion in new funding will be allocated towards roads, bridges, and other major projects. Dude, I hate fucking roads. I fucking hate roads. That includes $40 billion for bridge repair and replacement, which the White House touts as the largest such investment since the New Deal era interstate highway system, and $17.5 billion for unspecified major projects. The deal will also reauthorize a bipartisan surface transportation program for the next 5 years. Road safety. The deal puts $11 billion towards reducing car crashes and fatalities, including through a Safe Streets for All program. It will also double the funding that is sent to other programs that improve road safety. Public transit. The plan allocates $39 billion to modernize public transit and improve access for people with disabilities. The investment, the largest of its kind in U.S. history, the White House says, will replace thousands of buses and other transit vehicles with zero-emission upgrades. Passenger and freight rail. The deal would invest $66 billion to eliminate Amtrak's backlog, modernize trains, and expand service. Electric vehicles and buses. The plan includes $15 billion in spending for electric vehicle charging infrastructure, electric buses, and transit. Now see, that I'm not sure about. Now, I've said on this channel, electric vehicles are cool. I like electric vehicles. I am looking forward to seeing where the market takes us on electric vehicles going forward. Because, I mean, that's going to be the future. And new technology is always a little bit scary to people as they go along. I remember back in the 90s when so many carburetor folks decided that they would never have something with fuel injection because they couldn't go and work on it at home. And now we have systems and fuel injection where you can go back and work on it at home. So new technology, I mean, people are slow to embrace it, but electric vehicles are cool. I just don't want the federal government involved in it. Let the state and local governments and private industry decide how they're going to do that. I mean, hell, the Hy-Vee up in Madison, and even some of the stores down here, they've got charging pods for their electric vehicles. I don't know if they cost anything or if they don't, because I don't have an electric vehicle. I've never used one. But I know they have them out there, and that was a private venture, especially at Hy-Vee. That was a private venture through the Hy-Vee Corporation. They paid for that. They didn't have the city of Madison pay for it. They didn't have the county of Dane or the state of Wisconsin do it. They paid for that out of their corporate sharing. So, I mean, why can't this all be done at a private level? But apparently it can't. $1 billion would also be put towards a program to reconnect communities divided by transportation infrastructure. The White House notes, for instance, that parts of the highway system were built through black neighborhoods. So, yeah, we do have a little bit of redlining and reparations going on with that. Airports, ports, and waterways. The bill dedicates $17 billion towards port infrastructure and $25 billion towards airports. Water infrastructure. The plan includes $50 billion for investment in weatherization and protection against climate change-fueled disasters like droughts and floods. The plan has $55 billion for funding for clean drinking water, which includes replacing the country's lead pipes and service lines. The deal includes $65 billion in spending for broadband internet infrastructure. The plan includes $21 billion for funding for environmental remediation, including cleaning up Superfund sites, reclaiming abandoned mine land, and capping abandoned oil and gas wells. Abandoned because the government shut down the jobs for them through either regulation or just coming out and say, yeah, you can't have your new lease on this, man. Come on, man. The plan includes $73 billion to shift the country from fossil fuels to clean energy. It invests in updated power infrastructure and research and technology like nuclear, carbon capture, and clean hydrogen. I'm interested in the fact that they're talking about nuclear in this because I keep getting told that we can't have nuclear either because we might have a meltdown and it might destroy the world if we have nuclear power, or because Nuclear energy, that's clean energy. It doesn't do anything else. It doesn't do reparations or anything else. So I'm surprised to see, because I know that's one of the progressive things out there that they don't want to come out and do is nuclear power for one reason or the other, which I also don't understand. And yes, they keep thinking that if we have nuclear, carbon capture, and clean hydrogen, that means that our carbon footprint is going away. It's not, especially with nuclear, because they're still using fossil fuels to mine your various uraniums and other minerals that you're using for the nuclear fission process. It's not as clean as you think it is. Yes, the energy production itself is cleaner, but you're still using the same, if not sometimes more, mining equipment to go after the uranium. So it's a horse apiece on nuclear. The same with electric vehicles. Where do you think you get the rare earth minerals to make the computer systems that moderate the electric vehicle, or the lead or the heavy metals for the batteries? That all comes from mining, strip mining. A lot of stuff in the third world, which puts a lot of people at risk. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on there. So it's not, a lot of this clean energy stuff is not as clean as they think it is, but that's what's in your bill right there. Supposedly. We'll see what happens when the full text comes out. All right, let's grab one here from AZ Central. Sinema doesn't support Democrats' $3.5 trillion bill clinches bipartisan infrastructure deal. From Yvonne Wingett Sanchez. Senator Kyrsten Sinema does not support Democrats' $3.5 trillion budget plan that aims to deliver major components of President Biden's economic agenda that Democrats hope to pass after moving a separate bipartisan infrastructure deal that Sinema negotiated. Sinema told the Arizona Republic on Wednesday that she reviewed the Senate Budget Committee's spending framework and has told Senate leadership and Biden that she supports many of its goals, including job growth and American competitiveness. I have also made it clear that I will support beginning this process. I do not support a bill that costs $3.5 trillion, and in the coming months, I will work in good faith to develop this legislation with my colleagues and the administration to strengthen Arizona's economy and help Arizona's everyday families get ahead, Sinema said in a written statement. Sinema's reservations with the overall budget bill, along with those of Senator Joe Manchin, suggest Democrats won't have the votes to pass the more expansive plan, forcing Democrats to scale back the bill. All Senate Democrats would have to vote for the budget reconciliation bill for it to pass in the 50-50 chamber, where Vice President Kamala Harris would deliver a vote to break the tie. The package is a crucial component of Biden's human infrastructure agenda that includes expanding Medicare and caregiving for the disabled and elderly, funding universal pre-K, and paying for climate change initiatives. Mark Kelly of Arizona also wants to advance the vehicle to get the process started on a budget reconciliation package. He said in a statement to the Republic he did not commit to support the top-line $3.5 trillion price tag. A lot of work remains to continue rebuilding and growing our economy, which is why I want to see us move forward with this budget process, Kelly said. I look forward to continuing the work on the details to make sure we create more good-paying jobs and get Arizonans the skills they need to work them. Sinema's position on the price tag drew swift condemnation from progressive House Democrats and activists already incensed with her stance on maintaining the legislative filibuster. The filibuster is an obstacle to swiftly advancing Democrats' agenda ahead of the 2022 midterm elections, where I'm pretty sure they know full well that they're going to lose the House and the Senate at this point. So, yes, this is where I think a lot of this stalls. And, I mean, we're already into July. And we've got another economic crisis looming here in just a couple days. I think the legislative session for the next 2 years is done. Until we get a new Congress coming in, I think it's done. Because at this point, the filibuster's over. Everybody's going to jump back into their entrenched positions. And I think after this infrastructure thing gets done, whether it passes or fails, I think we're all done after that. Because Manchin and Sinema are going to vote no, and I don't know where the Republicans are going to go. I don't know. Maybe they'll get 70, or not 70. Maybe they'll get 20 Republicans on board, and they'll get a 68-man vote off of this. Who knows? We'll see what happens with that, but yeah, that's what we're seeing coming off of that. Let's move in talking about Elizabeth Warren here for just a second. Let's see. From Cointelegraph to start off, digital currency may be the answer to help the unbanked, Senator Warren says. This is from Helen Parts. Senator and former U.S. presidential candidate Elizabeth Warren believes that the digital asset industry may be a tool to tackle some of the challenges in the traditional financial system. A known skeptic of cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Warren appeared to have softened her stance on the crypto industry in a CNBC Squawk Box interview on Wednesday, stating that the digital currencies could be an instrument to bank the unbanked. There's been an enormous failure by the big banks to reach consumers all across the country. Digital currency and central bank digital currency may be the answer here. The senator emphasized that the existing financial system has a lot of problems, suggesting that some cryptocurrency-related solutions could be a potential solution to these issues. The question we have to ask is to look at the design of crypto to see where it may be better, but also see where it may inject its own risks into the system, Warren said. But despite seeing cryptocurrency's potential to solve challenges of the established financial system, Warren still reiterated some of her concerns over cryptocurrency investment risks. My concern is that a wholly unregulated market is one where ultimately the folks who pay the price are the small investors and the taxpayers, the senator said. The senator also compared the current cryptocurrency market to a snake oil salesman in the days before the government started regulating drugs, stating that a strong regulatory framework would discourage fraud in the crypto industry and make it safer. I don't want to wait until a whole lot of people, a whole lot of small traders, have been completely wiped out. I think the rules of the road that are there in the beginning that people say we've got to cop on the beat, but give people a lot of confidence, Warren noted. Well, let's listen to her.
Senator Warren joins us right now. She, of course, chairs the Banking Subcommittee on Economic Policy. Senator, welcome, and thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
It was
Good
fascinating.
to be here.
It was fascinating to watch the hearing yesterday. And here's where I wanted to start the conversation. We had Mike Novogratz on the program in the last hour. He's in the crypto business, in the industry. And one of the big questions is how to regulate the industry, but also when to regulate the industry, because there is an element where this is still early stage. It's still startup. And how much regulation do you want to put on now in the same kind of breath that we would have had a conversation about should have we regulated the internet more or not in the 1990s?
You know, you might look at this another way. Look at the lesson from history about when do we regulate drugs. As long as people can sell snake oil, it turns out that nobody really invested in having good drugs that were safe and that helped people. And once we really had an FDA that stood up and that said, you know what, we're going to test these drugs before they go on the market. We're going to assure the public that they are safe. Then look what happened. We got a whole lot more investment and obviously a much bigger market that helped the entire world. I don't want to wait until a whole lot of people, a whole lot of small investors, a whole lot of small traders have been completely wiped out. I think rules of the road that are there at the beginning that people say, you know, we got a cop on the beat, give people a lot of confidence, and they mean that the bad actors know, hey, somebody's watching out and we can't keep pushing frauds on people.
So, and, you know, I love this idea of this because, you know, she wants to get in the crypto market, but, you know, where does she want it to happen? She wants the government to regulate it. Just like drugs, just like everything else. If the government tells you it's safe to invest in or it's safe to put in your body, that's the only time it's safe. You cannot incur your own risk. You can only incur the risks that the government tells you are okay. Jesus Christ, I can't talk today. So, yeah, that's one that's coming off of this. Going on, reading from Politico off of this. Just in the same breath, Warren urges Yellen to crack down on cryptocurrency. from Kelly Medstrick. Senator Elizabeth Warren is pressing the Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen, to rally federal agencies to develop a coordinated and cohesive regulatory strategy on cryptocurrencies, which the Mass Democrat says pose growing risks to the financial system. Warren told Yellen in a letter released Tuesday that she should tap the Financial Stability Oversight Council, a panel of top regulators that the Treasury Secretary chairs, to act with urgency. Warren said cryptocurrencies currently touch or can cripple through nearly every corner of the financial system, with more than 2,000 digital currencies in circulation and a market value that could exceed $2 trillion. She cited specific concerns with so-called stablecoins, decentralized finance, exposure to hedge funds, and risk to banks. FSOC should review this matter and determine whether it is appropriate to utilize its statutory authority to contain the systemic risks posed by the growing cryptocurrency market, she said. The longer that the U.S. waits to adopt the proper regulatory regime for these assets, the more likely they will become so intertwined in our financial system that there could potentially be serious consequences if this market comes under stress. Warren released the letter in advance of the Senate Banking Committee hearing on cryptocurrency Tuesday morning. Separately on Tuesday, the Senate Judiciary Committee is set to hold a hearing focused on ransomware, and the House Financial Services Committee was set to hold a hearing on the central bank digital currency. So, yes, because small investors might see Bitcoin going up and they might say that this is a way to get rich quick, or they might go into Dogecoin or something like that we need to regulate. We need to tell people what is safe to be in, and the only thing that's safe is the US dollar. Oh my goodness. Fucking spare me, seriously. And I'm going to tell you my advice for cryptocurrency. And this, I usually say when I say investing advice is not official financial advice. You can take this as official financial advice. If you are in dire straits, if you are poor, if you are starving to death, if you are a couple rent payments away from being homeless, if you have to move in with your parents, do not invest in cryptocurrency or anything else. And do not invest any more than you can afford to lose at any given time. I am in crypto. I, at some point, want to actually get my crypto wallet embedded so you guys can donate crypto to me, because I'm interested in getting some Bitcoin, some Ethereum. But I do have some crypto, including Dogecoin, which people tell me I'm an idiot for having fucking Dogecoin. You know how much I invested in Dogecoin? $20. 20.00, because I could afford to roll up a $20 bill and throw the fucking thing away. That's still stupid. Do not roll up a $20 bill and throw it away. If you have a $20 bill that you want to roll up and throw away, give it to me and I'll use it to buy more fucking Dogecoin. But in the position that I was at the time, losing a $20 bill on a gamble wasn't necessarily the worst thing in the world for me. Now, when I lived in Kenosha, when I was making $10 an hour, reduced to 25 hours a week, was 4 months behind in my rent, eating ramen noodles, I didn't invest in crypto. At that time, that should have been the time I should have bought a microphone. Because that was the time you could have made money on YouTube. You can't do that now. But I didn't have the money to go out and throw on a webcam and a microphone. I didn't have that kind of money sitting there for me, waiting for me. I could not do it at that time. So I didn't do it at that time. In fact, I didn't buy this setup here. I didn't buy the microphone and the webcam until I could afford to buy the microphone and the webcam. And the new setup that we're having here, I mean, we ran on that old HP laptop forever because I couldn't afford to invest in anything. Never invest anything that you can't afford to invest. Period. Point blank stop. That's what Elizabeth Warren needs to be telling her constituents, not, oh, well, we'll just regulate this and we'll tell you what's safe to do it or not. That there's a reason people invest in these cryptocurrencies. because they're unregulated, because you don't have your fingers in them, and you can't snap your fingers and print them on a will and make them fucking worthless, like you do with the US dollar. Alright, so that's what we see going on with that. Let's keep going here. Let's grab another video on Warren. This is the one that I got from Brady Leonard, by the way. Not the one before that, but this, I saw this, I heard this, and I said, okay, we got to listen to this and see what this is. So, thank you, Brady Leonard, for posting this and me catching this right before I went live. Well, not right before I went live, but right before I started organizing articles.
So, we're here today to say, tick-tock, tick-tock, Mr. President. Millions of Americans ask you now to pick up a pen and cancel student loan debt, to pick up a pen and extend the payment pause, to pick up a pen and make their lives. So, we're here today to say, tick-tock.
Tick-tock, tick-tock, just cancel student debt already. We can't afford it, but just do it already. People are depending on you. All right, let's grab one from Politico. Warren ties California recall to Trump Republicans in latest Newsom ad. Yes, those majority Trump Republicans in California, you know, what is that? What's the population of California that's Trump Republicans? Isn't it like 90% of California is Trump Republicans? Yes, they're making all the problems for Gavin Newsom. In the latest Newsom ad, which the Blaze was kind enough to give me the ad so we can go back and watch it. From Jeremy B. White, California Governor Gavin Newsom is enlisting National Democratic star power to fight a... Dude. Warren is not a National Democratic star. I mean, she probably grew up following the North Star to make sure that her Buffalo get all back in and herded in, but she is not a National Democratic star. She disappeared after she dropped out of the presidential race until, like, yesterday. Launching an ad on Wednesday featuring Senator Elizabeth Warren. Dude, if you don't want to be governor anymore, just retire. The Warren starring spot is hitting the airwaves 3 weeks before ballots start landing in California voters' mailboxes. The mass progressive warns that Trump Republicans, who have been attacking election results and the right to vote, are coming to grab power in California before urging Californians to stymie conservatives by voting against the recall. You know what? I don't even want to read this Politico article. Let's just watch the ad. Thank you, The Blaze, for giving us the ad. Stop the Republican recall puts new ad. Elizabeth Warren urges Californians to vote no on the recall of Governor Newsom by September 14th. Hashtag stop the Republican recall.
Here's the deal with the recall of Gavin Newsom. We've seen Trump Republicans across the country attacking election results and the right to vote. Now they're coming to grab power in California, abusing the recall process and costing taxpayers millions. Here's how we stop them. Every Californian will get a mail-in ballot for the September 14th election. Vote no to protect California and our democracy. Stop the Republican recall. Here's the deal with...
Dude, I don't know if you've looked at the voting demographics of California, but this is not a Republican recall, as much as you're trying to tell us that it is. Now, if there was a recall of Tony Evers in Wisconsin, I would say that yes, it's probably a Republican recall, because this is a fairly divided down the middle state. So that I could see, but it's California. You actually had to reach deep into Los Angeles to find people to keep signing the ballots, the recall initiative, to get Newsom out. Now, I don't know if he's going to win or not. I really don't. He might beat this one. But, I mean, other than that, I guess we'll see what's happening with that. I'm going to go over here and check on Trovo, because it looks like Ron is in here, but it's not transferring over. Thank you, Ron. All right, let's get back into the news. Yeah, it's just, I can't believe that they're still trying to paint this as a Republican recall with the signatures that they got to do this in California. And the worst part of it is I mean, the people who did do it, because I'm sure there were Republicans on there, but they were the people who were not afraid to come out and say that there were Republicans in California on a document that requires their address and possibly ID. Now, yes, even still, in spite of the fact that this ballot is hitting, the ballot's going to start hitting mailboxes for people. We have more here, by the way. In a negative partisan power grab, extreme right-wing Republicans are trying to recall Gavin Newsom. Why? Because he dares to listen to scientists and put the power in the hands of the working people. Let's have Gavin's back. Yeah, no, this isn't not. This doesn't look like naked partisan politics or anything at all at this point. And isn't Gavin Newsom like Nancy Pelosi's nephew or something on top of that? So, yes, this is the swamp protecting the swamp. But that's what we're going to see coming back out of that. All right, let's grab one from CNN. House physician reinstates mask mandate amid Delta variant spread in the U.S. From Veronica Strachwell-Arce and Annie Grayer. The U.S. House is reinstating its mask mandate as the Delta variant emerges as the dominant strain of the COVID across the country. And in light of the new U.S. Centers for Disease Control guidance, the House attending physician announced on Tuesday. The House's reinstatement of the mask mandate follows the CDC's new recommendation Tuesday that both vaccinated and unvaccinated Americans in high or substantial COVID-19 transmission zones should resume wearing masks indoors. For all the House buildings, the Hall of the House, the Hall of Committee meetings, wearing of a well-fitted medical-grade filtration face mask is required when an individual is in an interior space and other individuals are present, Dr. Brian Monahan wrote in a memo. House lawmakers and their staff will be required to wear face coverings while in the House chamber, except when members are being recognized and speaking on the floor. Lawmakers will not be allowed to enter the House chamber without a mask, and those who fail to wear a mask in the House chamber will be subject to fines. Face coverings are also required for meetings in an enclosed House-controlled space. So the House is doing it. I don't know which states are going to be able to pull this back off or not. I know California's, at least localities doing sure. I'm just talking like Joe Biden, man. I know localities and counties in California are doing so. I know some other localities and counties are being able to pull this off. I think they're going to do this in New York City, too. As far as statewide, I know for a fact that if Tony Evers tries to do this, he's going to get his ass shut down because, you know, we saw this go once again, and he can't pull another emergency off of this. Robin Foss isn't going to let him do so, and neither is the Constitution of Wisconsin. But I'm sure Madison's going to get a new mask mandate. I'm sure the county of Dane is going to get a brand new mask mandate. I'm sure the county of Milwaukee is going to. Maybe Kenosha County. I'm sure that's going to get it too. I'm sure a lot of municipalities are going to jump up and say, hey, let's throw a mask up. But whether or not it happens at a state level, I don't think it's going to happen. But we will watch where that goes. From the Hill. Tempers flare as some in the GOP ignore the new House mask mandate. From Christina Marcos. Several GOP lawmakers refused to comply with the newly reinstated mask requirement on the House side of the Capitol on Wednesday, putting themselves at risk of having to pay hefty fines as a punishment. More than half a dozen Republicans refused to wear masks on the House floor, including Marjorie Taylor Greene, plant, Lauren Boebert, also probably a plant, Matt Gaetz, Chip Roy, Andy Biggs, Mary Miller, and Andrew Clyde. Most of the 211 House Republicans did comply with wearing masks on the House floor after the Capitol position announced late Tuesday night that they would once again be mandatory amid spread of the highly contagious Delta variant of the COVID-19. This is going to start being a yearly thing, you guys. This is going to start being a yearly thing. But Republicans, who are among the House GOP's most vocal firebrands, made a point of refusing to wear them. Roy forced a procedural vote on the motion to adjourn to protest the reinstated mask requirement, which subsequently failed, largely along party lines. Consider resentment being magnified right here on the floor of the House by representatives. We are absolutely sick and tired of it, and so are the American people, Roy said. This institution is a sham. We should adjourn and shut this place down, Roy added before forcing the vote. Yes, please. Hey, look, guys, Chip Roy can say something intelligent. Yes, let's go. The whole process and institution is a sham. Let's all shut it down. Most of the Republicans refusing to wear masks have declined to say if they are vaccinated or have openly confirmed that they are not. All Democrats in the House and Senate, meanwhile, have confirmed publicly that they are vaccinated. With a gigantic virtue signal, of course. The resentment was on full display Wednesday as lawmakers expressed frustration with having to wear masks again. Jared Huffman was taken aback when he was about to board an elevator on Wednesday with Byron Donalds of Florida, whom he had seen on CNN's Cuomo Primetime 2 days ago explaining why he wasn't vaccinated. It's ridiculous that you're unvaccinated, unmasked, and you're getting onto an elevator with other people, Huffman told Donalds before opting to board another elevator. Yes, because this is the plague. Huffman and Donalds, who still wasn't wearing a mask, crossed paths again moments later as they both entered the House's chamber. You're just incredibly selfish, Huffman told Donalds. What are you doing? Mind your business and leave me alone, Donalds responded before both of them broke out in a slap fight. Donalds told The Hill afterwards that he had been unaware of the Capitol physician's announcements on Tuesday after the reinstated mask mandate. I thought I got things going on. I don't sit and watch like every email coming through. Come on now, Donalds said. So, yes, they're absolutely fighting over whether or not they wear a mask on the House floor. Yes, that's a thing that's happening. I might want to save that for later. Shit. No, that's not going to work. We might be talking about that one tomorrow. I just caught that out of the corner of my eye. Let's tuck that in there for later. We'll talk about that tomorrow, I think, because I like what that sees. All right, let's talk about some of the fights that are going on here. Starting with video from Kevin McCarthy, and going on to the response to Kevin McCarthy from Tim Ryan of Ohio. Let's listen.
But it's just like their philosophy. They want to mandate, they want to impose. They want to tell you when you can go to school, when you can eat. You know what they're going to do if you walk into this building without a mask? They're going to charge you $500. Why? Because they got the power to do it. But it's just like their philosophy. They want to mandate, they want to impose. They want to tell you when you can go to school, when you can eat. You know what they're going to do if you walk into this building without a mask? They're going to charge you $500. Why? Because they got the power to do it.
That reminds me of the end of the Dennis Leary asshole song. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get myself a 1975 Cadillac convertible. Hot pink! That reminded me of that. I don't know why, but it did. But I mean, he's not wrong. Where's the lie on this? Because that seems to be what we keep seeing from Democrats. They want to tell you when you can go to school, when you can eat. If you're a good little boy, we'll let you go out and have some of your freedoms back once again. We're seeing a lot of that. And the Republicans, by and large, are just as guilty of this as Democrats are. I mean, we saw this in states across the country. So, I mean, McCarthy can come up here and get on a soapbox about it, but we still see a lot more of that happening. Tim Ryan responding to Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, criticizing of the House mask mandate. Somebody in this chamber is coming from a hotspot. Somebody represents hotspots.
Somebody in this chamber is coming from a hotspot. Somebody represents the hotspots. And they get in a plane and they fly here and they interact with all of us. And then we leave here and we go home to our families. Some take care of their sick parents. Some take care of kids who may have an autoimmune disorder. And I just find it absolutely immature and appalling to somehow diminish it to try to score cheap political points. And that's exactly what we saw a few minutes ago. That is beneath a minority leader of one of the major political parties in the United States of America. Somebody in this chamber is coming from a hotspot.
Okay, so get the vaccine. I would say take a certain therapeutic element of this, but this is YouTube for some of you guys. And yeah, if I say that word that starts with an H, I won't have a YouTube channel anymore. Not only will the stream get suspended, but I will be off the air, disappeared, and several men in black suits with briefcases and guns will come and make sure that I am just a memory to you guys, and not even a memory. If I say that certain H word that you could possibly take, if you have a problem with that. But regardless, anyway, yeah, you, as of always, assess your own level of risk. And I'm sorry, Tim Ryan, on top of this, I have seen the wealth portfolios of many of your colleagues on both sides of the aisle. There are not a lot of you out there that are taking care of your sick parents. You're hiring people to do that. All right, let's grab one from the Blaze. Maybe. Is the Blaze blacked out? Did I lose internet connection? Am I still on? I am still on. Okay, maybe we won't take the one from the Blaze. Maybe Becca's having problems. All right, anyway, let's grab this one here. This one came to me in the Discord from Midget B. No lines Wednesday morning at vaccination sites in Jacksonville. I've got no author given on this one. This is from WJAX. Hundreds of vaccination sites are open in Northeast Florida, giving free vaccinations to those who show up. News 4JAX went to a free vaccine event Wednesday at the Jacksonville Landing's old parking lot, hosted by the Jax Chamber. When we arrived, no one was in line. The event is free and will be open until 5 p.m. Agape Health is offering both vaccines and testing at its office at 5460 Blanding Boulevard from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Tuesday and Wednesday, and its location at 1680 Dunn Avenue from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Thursday and Friday. Most CVS and Walgreens pharmacies also offer COVID-19 testing by appointment. Insurance or the federal government will be billed. Free walk-up testing at the office at 515 West 6th Street is available Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Free testing is also available at the health department locations in most Florida counties. Please get the vaccine. Please panic and run and get this. We need to go give more money to our big pharma people. Please. Johnson & Johnson needs more money, you guys. Please come get the vaccine. Puke. Yeah, that one still won't load up. I don't know why. Let's give it one more refresh and see. That's so weird. All right. Moving on. Oh, by the way, Dusty Hill passed away, which is lame. Because Dusty Hill is a major musical icon. But I didn't have that in the stack. I caught that like late last night. I don't know any details about that. I don't know what he died from, but I know that ZZ Top was legendary. All right, but the news of this particular story, however, Susan Sarandon protests outside of AOC's office. We're losing hope here that you represent us. From Jessica Napoli. What a weird timeline that we're in. A Hollywood actress is protesting outside a progressive socialist Democrat's office. What is going on in this time? Where did we split and diverge from the prime timeline? I mean, it's entertaining, but I mean, some of these headlines, you never thought you'd wake up and see something like this. Susan Sarandon was seen protesting outside New York Democrat, the Honorable and Venerable Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez DeTwitch's office on Monday. In a video obtained by The Independent, the 74-year-old she's 74? Jeez. Wow. Pay your surgeon very well to break the spell of aging, I guess. Used a megaphone to address the gathering crowd, Sarandon expressed her disappointment at AOC and the squad. I'm here to say to the squad, and especially AOC, who you know, did make a lot of promises that we still have faith in, and we still would like to see. If you have a better plan than we've been able to see, please share it. She added, if there's a pathway you've got that we're not aware of, please share it, because we're losing hope over here that you represent us. It's so difficult for people that are independent to get elected in the first place. Full stop. Sidebar. The Honorable and Venerable Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez D-Twitch is not independent. For Susan Sarandon to come out and say, an independent person getting elected, just tells me that she is completely fucking tone deaf to how the world works. Because that is a lot of Young Turks money sitting behind that young woman. And then to see the very people that sponsored the bill not stand up for it, it's very disheartening, the Oscar winner concluded. The protest was advertised as a Medicare for All rally and sought to bring attention to the need for Biden to declare a national public health emergency and expand Medicare to every American using Section 1881A of the Social Security Act, which we've talked about on this program when we've read Section 1881A on this program before. And I do believe that is out of the purview of that. 74, really? That's a lot of plastic surgery. And I'm not saying that she looks like my age. She doesn't look 37 or anything, or younger than that or anything, but, I mean, looking at that, I would have said, like, 50, 55. Maybe. The protesters demanded AOC Biscuit and others use every legislative tool available to pass Medicare for All in Congress, including withholding and leveraging your votes to demand single payer as a condition for passing legislation per their website. Yes, please do that. Oh, yes, please do that. Derail the Biden agenda completely. Yes, please do that, because Biden knows full well that Democrats will lose for a generation if they do, if they pass Medicare for All. The markets will tank. Half of the medical industry will be gone. And he knows full well he cannot pass, and he will veto any of that comes back off of this. That will hold the government hostage completely. But yes, Susan Sarandon is protesting outside AOC's office. All right. This one here. Here, the profanity-laced voicemail that DC officer Michael Fanone got from a Trump supporter while he was testifying to Congress. But I had archived this, so we're not going to be able to hear the video. Let me see if I can find the audio from the Twitter handle. Let me... Don Lemon tonight. Okay, that's an 8-minute. That's a 9-minute. So we can look at some of this here, but yeah, they're not going to... Let me see if I can find the video itself. Because I just looked at the tweet, and the video that's supposed to be right there is a 10-minute video. We're not going to sit back and watch a 10-minute video on this program. But what we can do is check into YouTube and at least grab the audio. Because I'm willing to bet that somebody has posted it to you. Oh, it's yeah, of course, it's all going to be Top priority, creator fucking news stories. Of course it is. I got a 2-minute one, though. We can listen to that. Oh, there's one. Raw audio. Threatening voicemail left for Officer Fanone as he testified about Capitol riot. That's a 117, but let's read some of this here. This is from Sinead Baker. A police officer in Washington, D.C. received an explicit and threatening voicemail from the supporter of former President Trump as he testified before Congress's January 6th commission. In his testimony on Tuesday, Michael Fanone said Capitol rioters had beaten him unconscious and nearly killed him, Insider's Eliza Relman reported. Later in an interview with CNN's Don Lemon, Fanone played a voicemail that he said someone had left while he was testifying. It contained racist language and homophobic slurs and accused Fanone of acting. It repeated Trump's false claim that the presidential election was stolen, and it threatened violence against Fanone and others. Let's have a listen.
The indifference shown to my colleagues is disgraceful.
To listen to your messages, press 1. To send a message, press 2. To check receipt of a message, press 3. First saved message.
Yeah, this is from Michael Fanone, Metropolitan Police Officer. You're on trial right now, lying and you want an Emmy, an Oscar? What are you trying to go for here? You're so full of shit, you little faggot fucker. You're a little pussy, man. I can slap you up the side of your head with a backhand and knock you out, you little faggot. You're a punk faggot. You're a lying fuck. How about all that scummy black fucking scum for 2 years, destroying our cities and burning them and stealing all that shit out of the stores and everything? How about that, and assaulting cops and killing people? How about that, you fucker? That was shit on the goddamn Capitol. I wish they would have killed all you scumbags, because you people are scum. They stole the election from Trump, and you know that, you scumbag. And you fucking, too bad they didn't beat the shit out of you more. You're a piece of shit. You're a little fag, you fucking scumbag.
End of message.
Okay. I said this yesterday, too, when I first heard about this. I don't believe you. I'm going to reiterate that. I don't believe you anymore. Capitol Police officers, federal government, FBI, any of you fucks. I don't believe you. Full stop. I don't anymore. And here's why. You have 17 people who want to go on in on a plot to go kidnap Governor Gretchen Whitmer. And 12 of them are FBI agents, teaching 5 other ones, hey, fellow extremists, do you want to go back and kidnap the governor of Michigan? Come with us and we'll take her to Wisconsin and we will teach you paramilitary techniques and we are totally on your side. I don't believe you. I believe that this was one of Fanone's buddies that called up and said, hey, yeah, no, I'll read the script for you. Just, throw me a couple bucks toward my mortgage or something. Hey, I'm struggling here. This money that the Democrats are paying you to go off and do this and threaten your own career for lying under oath, all this money that they're paying you to do that, just throw me a little bit. Throw me a house payment. Throw me an insurance payment or something. Come on, buddy. I'll say whatever you want. I'll call in and we can read this. I don't believe you anymore. I don't. I really don't. I'm sure that this was somebody that he knew because they were very easily able to get his phone number while he was on the stand as a police officer. I don't believe any of this anymore. And if you wanted me to believe it, then you shouldn't have done the Michigan plot. But Gretchen Whitmer, she is facing down scandal. We have to do something off of this. I don't believe a word of this anymore. I don't. She's a conspiracy theorist, don't you know? He doesn't believe the narrative that we're telling him. He thinks there's an ulterior motive out there. I don't care. I don't believe you. I don't. You as the federal government has showed me who you are numerous times. And yeah, I don't believe a word that you're saying at this point. But that's the voicemail. Let's get the live chat back up here. National Police Association slams January 6th probe as a dog and pony show calls for investigation of Floyd riots. From Jessica Chasmer. The National Police Association on Wednesday slammed Congress's investigation into the January 6th Capitol riot as a politically motivated, wow. I must be tired because I'm reading words differently than what they are. As a politically motivated dog and pony show that has no intention of uncovering the truth of what really happened that day. In an interview with Fox News on Wednesday, Association spokeswoman Betsy Brantner Smith, a retired police sergeant who describes herself as a conservative, said Congress should hear from the thousands of police officers who were injured during the George Floyd riots last year. I'm sorry, Betsy, but that's racist. That's what the narrative people are going to tell you, and me. That's racist. People need to see that police officers go through horrible things, and January 6th was a horrible thing for some of those officers, she said. But, quite frankly, I find this whole January 6th commission, frankly, a dog and pony show. It doesn't tell the whole story. It's not there to tell the whole story. It's there to tell you the narrative that they want you to know. Myself, like millions of Americans, sat there watching the testimony thinking, wait, where are the police officers who appeared to let some of the protesters in? She asked, where's the police officer who shot Ashley Babbitt? In fact, why aren't we talking about Ashley Babbitt? I mean, there's so much more here. Brantner Smith's comments came the day after 4 law enforcement officers who responded to the January 6th riot at the Capitol gave testimony to a House Select Committee about their experience. Brantner Smith said all of those officers have been politicized by Congress, and that while their stories are important, the American public also deserves to hear the stories of the more than 2,000 men and women in law enforcement who were injured during last year's violent protests, mostly peaceful protests, Betsy. Don't you know what the narrative is? That it was mostly peaceful. She cited a poll last week by NPA and Rasmussen Reports that found 66% of likely U.S. voters think Congress should investigate the riots spurred by Floyd's murder last May. I want the American public to hear about that, Brantner Smith told Fox News, and based on her survey, the American public wants to hear about that. They want to hear the testimony. You know, we have the Las Vegas police officer who is still paralyzed from the Black Lives Matter riots. We have thousands of police officers around the country who are retiring because of post-traumatic stress and because of the riots, and because their neighborhoods don't want them there. That last part was something I added to this. So, yeah, I mean, it is a dog and pony show at this point, and that's what I said right from the beginning. Yes, it's bipartisan. We have Liz Cheney. Don't you all love Liz Cheney? We have Adam Kinzinger. It's all bullshit at this point. It is. They're looking for a narrative to come out and say, it was evil Orange Man who did the Capitol riot. He walked to the door and opened the door for the people to be let in and told them, go in and insurrect. And all of this comes down to 2024. That's the worst part of it. That's what all of this is fodder for 2024. From Newsweek, Joe Biden's claim he once drove 18-wheeler truck provokes a skepticism. From Dara Roche, President Biden claimed on Wednesday that he once drove an 18-wheeler truck, but his remark, made during a visit to Mack Truck Factory in Lower Macungie Township, Pennsylvania, quickly garnered a skeptical reaction. In audio recorded by local news channel WFMZ TV, Biden can be heard off-camera telling workers of the Mack Truck Lehigh Valley operations, I used to drive an 18-wheeler, man. I got to. Right. The clip was shared by the Republican National Committee research Twitter account. Alongside the comment, Joe Biden, a career politician who has been in politics for 48 years, claims he used to drive an 18-wheeler. Let me see if I can find that. No, that's not what I wanted. Yeah, let's do that. Ah, right there. Top tweet. So let's watch the video, listen to the audio.
And anyway,
And if we
I
don't
used to drive an 18-wheeler, man.
Yeah. Oh, I wish I could.
That's I awesome. Got to. And anyway,
And if we
I
don't
used to drive an 18-wheeler, man.
Yeah. Oh, I wish I could.
I highly doubt that Joe Biden drove an 18-wheeler. It's hard. And back at the time, by the way, when he would have been driving the 18-wheeler, because, I mean, keep in mind, he's been in Congress since the 70s. It was even harder at the time. You had stuff with twin sticks. You had stuff where you actually had you had to know what you were doing to go and drive a truck. It wasn't just something you could hop in. No, some of these modern trucks, yes, backing is still a pain in the ass. But some of these modern trucks, they drive like a car. You just get in, you twist the little dial to put yourself in gear, and you go scooting down the fucking road. You still have to have your air brakes endorsement because you have to know what air brakes are, but, you know, Biden from the 70s, I could see him getting up into an 18-wheeler and driving. I also find it funny that he's talking about this in front of a garbage truck. I think that's kind of hilarious. And that is what that is, by the way. And if it doesn't have a garbage truck back on the back of it, it's going to at some point, because that's what the LRU is for. All right. Let's see. Zach Parkinson, director of RNC Research, also questioned the president's claim, sharing a 1973 opinion piece written by Biden, who was then a first-term senator. In the article, Biden talked about how he'd written a 47,000-pound cargo truck on a 500-mile-plus trip from Delaware to Ohio. There is zero evidence that Biden used to drive an 18-wheeler, Parkinson tweeted. The extent of Biden's trucking experience is that he rode in a truck once for one night in 1973. He made sure to return home by plane, though. Yeah, I would too, in 1973. And I've driven a 1973 truck before. In 1973, even on the brand newest top-of-the-line truck, I still would have taken a plane home if I had the option and the money. Parkinson also shared an AP article about Biden's 73 journey, which was headlined, "Senator Observes Trucker's Woes." That article said Biden takes a 550-mile ride. And, okay, I will back up off of this and say, yeah, I'm sure that he probably did a ride-along at some point, given the fact that he ran in Delaware for the Senate as a Democrat in the time where unions ran the Democrat Party and vice versa, where it was predominantly strong for union workers to be Democrats. So he came out and said, hey, you know, I can do this and figure out, you know, what's actually troubling these people who are actually going to vote for me, and do a ride-along. But driving it? No, he didn't do that. I promise you. But there's that. From the Hill. Will we get through everything today? We got 4 more, and then we've got Thing I Like and Thing That I Hate. Oh, this one. I really wanted to get to this one yesterday, but we ran out of time. Biden says Russia spreading misinformation ahead of 2022 elections. From Morgan Chalfant. And I grabbed this article not because of the content of it, although we're going to go over some of that because they're going to start their bullshit again ahead of the midterms. I grabbed this article because I think we're being trolled at this point. We are being trolled at this point because, I mean, is he actually supposed to look that much like Walter? Look at it. Look at that picture right there. As soon as I find it again. Yeah, look at that picture right there, and look at that picture right there. We are getting fucking trolled here, you guys. We've got to be. There's no other way to explain this. It's uncanny. It really is. President Biden said Tuesday that he's been briefed on Russian efforts to spread misinformation related to the 2022 midterm elections. Come on, man. Look at what Russia's doing already about 2022 elections and misinformation, Biden said during a speech at Office of the Director of National Intelligence, referencing information that he said was contained in his president's daily brief. It's pure violation of our sovereignty. Biden said the intelligence community needs to take on the rampant disinformation that's making it harder and harder for people to assess the facts and be able to make decisions. Biden repeatedly referenced Russian President Vladimir Putin during his remarks, suggesting at one point that he believes Russia's weakened economy makes Putin more dangerous in the cyber realm. The intelligence community previously assessed that Russia sought to interfere in both the 2016 and 2020 presidential elections on orders from Putin. The report made public earlier this year said Russia acted to boost former President Trump and damage Biden's candidacy. Russia has denied interfering in the U.S. elections. So they're going to do this bullshit again. And that way, when they statistically lose the House, because Hong Kong, they can't fortify it enough. Hong Kong, most secure election in history. Only if they win, of course. Then they can come out and scream for the next 2 years, it's Russia trying to install Donald Trump. Oh my God! The world is over! So, strap yourselves in for that. From Fox Business, House Republicans introduced draft to bill to strip big tech companies of Section 230 protections. You want to see censorship on a level that you have never seen before? Strip fucking 230 out. Once big tech companies can be sued for the content that's on their sites, you want to see censorship like you've never seen before? You're going to see censorship like you've never seen before. But hey, do what you got to do, because that's what the Donald told you guys to do. This is from Brooke Singman. Republican reps Kathy McMorris Rodgers and Jim Jordan have been drafted legislation that would remove 230 protections from big tech and require them to report any content moderation decisions to the FTC in what sources familiar with the draft measure say would be a robust reform in the Communications Decency Act. The discussion draft legislation, penned by McMorris Rodgers, the top Republican on the House Energy and Commerce Committee, and Jordan, the top Republican on the House Judiciary Committee, exclusively obtained by Fox News, would prevent big tech companies from using Section 230 liability protections to silence conservatives. The bill would amend Section 230 of the Communications Act to provide that immunity does not apply to certain companies, and would require internet platform companies to implement and maintain reasonable and user-friendly appeals processes for decisions about content on the platform. Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act currently states that no provider or users of an interactive computer service shall be treated as the publisher or speaker of any information provided by another information content provider. The section has been pivotal for the rise of today's social media giants by allowing not only internet service providers, but also Google, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and others to be shielded from liability from content posted on their platforms by third parties in most cases, but some critics on the right believe that tech giants should no longer benefit from protections of 230 if they censor conservative viewpoints. You think censorship is bad now? You pull fucking 230 out of there and you tell me what censorship does once they all align and say, well, we're publishers now. You need our approval to publish anything on our website, because they will do that. Because if 230 is gone and they can be sued for the content on their platform, you are not going to put your asshole spread out for the world to see on their platform. But yes, keep going down this road and see where it goes. All right, from the Associated Press. Ex-airman sentenced to 45 months for leaking drone info. From Eric Tucker. A former Air Force intelligence analyst who once helped find targets for deadly U.S. drone strikes was sentenced to 45 months in prison for leaking top-secret details about the program. Daniel Hale told a federal judge he felt compelled to leak the information to a journalist out of guilt over his own participation in a program that he believed was indiscriminately killing civilians in Afghanistan far from the battlefield. It's wrong to kill, Hale said in a defiant statement in which he accepted responsibility for his actions, but also pleaded for mercy. It's especially wrong to kill the defenseless. But U.S. District Judge Liam O'Grady told Hale that he has other avenues for airing his concerns besides leaking to a journalist, citing that he needs to deter from illegal disclosures. He imposed a punishment that was harsher than the 12 to 18-month term sought by Hale's attorneys, but significantly more lenient than the longer sentence sought by persecutors. You could have resigned from the military or told your commanders you weren't going to do this anymore, O'Grady told Hale, which would have put him in a cell either way, by the way. The prosecution is one in a series of cases the Justice Department has brought in recent years against current and former government officials who have disclosed classified secrets to journalists. AG Merrick Garland announced new guidelines this month to bar persecutors from subpoenaing journalist records in a leak probe, but the department has shown no signs of scaling back efforts to charge officials whom they identify as having leaked national security information. If the guy's coming out and leaking about operations that he did in the past, not in the future. Now, if he was doing this for operations that are to come in the future, I would say, yes, we need to check in on this, at least verify the information, because this could put people's lives at risk. It could put people's lives on the lines. And I've said this all the time about whistleblowers in the government. I used to be an anti-whistleblower person. Don't get me wrong. I used to be a very, very anti-whistleblower person. Until I realized that the government is using top secret classification to keep a lot of shit from us. But yes, I used to be very anti-whistleblower, and I have grown and learned that we need whistleblowers into this. I still stand against whistleblowers who give away key details of future operations in which people's lives are on the line and people could get killed for. But people who come back and say, I did this, this was under top security clearance, but I did this and it was wrong, or this is happening and it's wrong, or stuff that happened in the past that doesn't have somebody's life directly in the line. Yes, we need those people. So this is bullshit. This is making an example of a guy who blew the whistle, said, yes, we are bombing brown kids in the Middle East, and he's paying the price for it. It's the 9/11 anti-war effort all over again. All right. So, and this is the last one that I have for news, and then we'll get into a thing that I like and a thing that I hate and head out of here for the day. From CNN, a first person charged under Hong Kong national security law found guilty on 2 charges. From Jesse Young and Shermaine Lee. The first person to be tried under Hong Kong's sweeping national security law faces life in prison after being found guilty on Tuesday of inciting secession and terrorism in a landmark court ruling that is likely to have profound implications on the city's legal system. Tong Ying Kit, 24, was found guilty on terrorism for crashing his motorcycle into a group of police officers last year, injuring 3. He was also found guilty of second charge, incitement to commit secession, for carrying a large black banner emblazoned with popular anti-government protest slogan, "Liberate Hong Kong, Revolution of Our Times." A 3-judge panel, selected by Hong Kong's leader, ruled that Tong's actions constituted a deliberate challenge against police and were intended to cause great harm to society. As the first trial under the new legislation, which was promulgated by Beijing on June 30th last year, Tong's case is widely seen as the litmus test for how the law will be implemented and interpreted in court in the coming months. I'll tell you how it's going to be implemented and interpreted in court in the coming months. Anybody who makes dissent against China will be made an example of. Now, we can have the argument over don't hurt people and don't take their stuff. As far as it goes with running over the police officers, I don't necessarily agree with that because, well, don't hurt people and don't take their stuff. We can have that conversation, but the fact that he's also going in on a second charge for holding a banner that says "Liberate Hong Kong," I mean, this is the reason that people are out there waving the American flag on their revolutions. This is the reason that the American flag is used across the country, because we have the freedom of speech. In this country, so far anyway, I know that the globalists are trying to change that. Globalists, putting chemicals in the water, turning free speech into a crime. They're trying to get that changed, but yes, as of right now, you can put whatever banner you want and carry it around, and that won't be a crime. But you would still have to probably pay for trying to drive a motorcycle into police officers. And they would stretch that one even further too, because assault of a police officer is even harsher than assault of a regular person, because they're the untouchables unless we hate them. But yeah, prepare to see a lot of this stuff here, especially with all the people who were carrying the American flag in protest because they want a free Hong Kong. Because Beijing has no desire to give you a free Hong Kong. Alright, that was the last one. Now, before we head out of here, let's do a thing that I like and a thing that I hate. And the thing that I like, of course, because it's me, and we will be doing what I'm watching on streaming services, because that's, for whatever reason, what I do. I picked up Mr. Robot again after I finished off The Mandalorian, which is great. If you haven't seen The Mandalorian, go check out The Mandalorian. But I picked this USA series back up after that because, you know, I watched this first season. I got about halfway into the second season the first time I watched it through, and it was slow, but I was also sitting and waiting around for episodes to come back out. Now that it's all for free on Prime, now I'm actually going to sit down and watch the whole thing. This is on Amazon Prime, so you can go check it out over there if you have Amazon Prime. It's free. It'll come back up for you. You can go watch it. The series follows, and I don't want to give a lot of spoilers away for this because I've seen the entire first season before, and I know how they end it. But the series follows computer hacker Rami Malek. Elderson is his name in the series, but Rami Malek plays Elderson, who is a socially challenged computer hacker. He works for a computer security firm by day, and then at night he does various hacking activities. He hacks everybody that he knows. He knows everybody's password, their Facebook. He sees everybody cheating on everybody. It's interesting to see the way that the story goes, but in the middle of the first season, he joins up with Christian Slater's Mr. Robot, who that's what he's named in the series. And they go on a quest to take down one of the bigger corporate conglomerates in the world, E-Corp, or as Elderson calls it in the series, Evil Corp. The series is a little bit of a mindfuck, and there's a lot of graphic stuff in there. It's rated MA for a reason. But it's definitely worth the watch, I think, at least from the first couple seasons. If you don't like a very liberal bias, remember this was put out by USA Network, so they worship at the ground at the feet of Barack Obama. And I don't know where they're going to go in the third and fourth season as far as having Trump in office, because I'm sure that they're going to go down that direction as well. But just looking at the first season, I'm actually thinking this was a good thing, but you know, time will tell. And hey, maybe we'll come out and say, evil fascist orange dictator is the one that's taken over the world. Because it did end in 2019. So let's look at the trailer here and see if it's something that you guys would be interested in. I know I'm interested in it.
To get back to work. You go down this path, it'll never end. There'll always be something else. Another symbol to destroy, more people to save. This is an endless war. What you're about to do is crossing a line.
It's a little late for that, don't you think?
Remember the night of the hack?
So, Yeah, it's a good series. It's got a lot of adult situations, a lot of drug use, so don't watch it with the kiddies in the room, and cable-friendly nudity as well. So, yeah, otherwise, yeah, it was really good. So go and check that out if it's something like crime drama, especially if that's something you're interested in. Go and check that out. It's on Prime. All right, now let's do a thing that I hate. Space tourism tax. Congressman announces new plan after Blue Origin launch. This is from Jessica Smith over at Yahoo Finance. Because, of course, they're going to tax the shit out of everything they can put their hands on. Everything that's happening, they've got to tax. And space travel is going to be no different. You know why? Because only rich people are going to do it. And the government looks at this and says, hey, $1 million for a flight, we want our cut. I wonder how sales tax actually will land on that too, because I'm sure on top of everything else there'd be sales tax and other local municipal taxes, but yes, now they want to do a space tax too. Shortly after Jeff Bezos, the world's richest man, completed his first space flight, Representative Earl Blumenauer announced he's working on a plan for new tax targeting the space tourism. The Securing Protections Against Carbon Emissions tax. The acronyms, you guys! I swear, the acronyms. The Space Tax Act would create new excise taxes on commercial space flights with human passengers for non-research purposes. Space exploration isn't a tax-free holiday for the wealthy, just as normal Americans pay taxes when they buy airline tickets, billionaires who fly into space to produce nothing of scientific value, except for the fact that they're flying into fucking space, should do the same, and then some, said Blumenauer in a statement. I'm not opposed to this type of space innovation. However, things that are done purely for tourism or entertainment, or, to provide more of the product, to ease up on the demand, to provide more supply, so they can bring the prices down so you and I can do the same thing. Another story for another time. That don't have a scientific purpose should in turn support the public good. Blumenauer noted that he's worried about the environmental impact of launching humans into space for tourism or entertainment purposes. While proponents of suborbital, that's the word I'm looking for, flights point to transatlantic flights as having similar carbon footprints, these flights carry significantly more passengers and travel much further, said a press release from Blumenauer's office. The result is space launches accounting for an estimated 60 times greater emissions than the transatlantic flights on a per-passenger basis, enough to drive a car around the Earth, and more than twice the carbon budget recommended in the Paris Climate Agreement. While Blumenauer has not released details of the proposal yet, he said he's considering a per-passenger tax on the price of a commercial flight into space, similar to commercial flights. He would also like to include a two-tiered excise tax for each launch. Tax. That's all they want to do is go back and tax. You want to spend money? We want our cut. Fuck you. Taxation is theft. Let the innovation go. Let the people who want to experiment with this experiment with it. And if it comes to a point where thousands of people a day are going and doing this like we're doing with other commercial flights, then yes, let's start putting a per passenger tax on it. Because then we can separate it down into smaller portions where it still sucks, but it doesn't hurt or kill somebody's wallet to do so. And you're not paying more on the taxes than you are on the flight. But let the innovators innovate. You people in government know all kinds of great things about killing innovation and taxing it out of existence. So, yes, that's the thing that I hate today. Taxation is theft, and they will continue to tax it until the end of time. Let's get out of here. Throw some music up. Some music. Alright, so thanks everybody who came by and chatted with us in the live chat. Today is Thursday, which means tomorrow is live chat day, so if you just lurk throughout the week, get those last minute messages in, so I can say thank you kindly from the bottom of my heart for coming in and hanging out with us here And yeah, it's going to be that. Hopefully we'll be back here at a regular time tomorrow, because I am not planning on staying 10 hours at work tonight, and I'm planning on getting a full night's sleep, not one interrupted by a tornado siren. So yeah, we'll hopefully get here earlier tomorrow. But yeah, join us tomorrow for more Contemporary. Hopefully I'll be more awake here, because I can hear myself tripping over my words. But we will see you guys tomorrow for more Contemporary. Until then, I am Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. And those of you on Twitch, also stick around for the raid afterwards. We will see you tomorrow. Take care, you guys.